Indy 500 Films presents The Legends of the Brickyard.
(1980), the start of a new decade of the 20th century and the start of a new legend of the Brickyard. Hello, everybody. I'm Larry Newber.
And I'm Bob Jenkins. That new legend was the ground effects chassis, which won at Indianapolis for the first time in 1980 and completely monopolizes IndyCar racing today. But the winning driver was not new. In fact, he was a 17-year veteran who became the second driver in 3 years to win his third 500. Interestingly enough, he was driving for Jim Hall, who 2 years earlier won his first 500 with three-time winner Al Unser Sr.
Bob, it was also a bumper year for rookies. 10 men, or nearly 1/3 of the starting field, were making their first starts at Indy. And so, without any further delay, we bring you the 1980 Indianapolis 500.
The date, Sunday, May 25th. The place, Indianapolis, Indiana. The event, the 64th running of the biggest spectator sports classic in the world, the Indianapolis 500. In just over 3 hours, one of these cars and drivers will roll into victory lane to the cheers of 380,000 fans. More than $1/4 of $1 million purse will be waiting, along with all of the fame and glory that traditionally goes to the winner of this, one of the oldest automobile races in the world. But automobile racing is not a one-on-one sport. It's the epitome of the team effort. The tremendous investment in labor and money makes victory all the more sweet. But it also makes failure all the more frustrating. The massive effort to run for the richest prize in racing usually has its beginning far from Indianapolis. In different parts of the country, two men pursue widely different interests. A ranch, automobiles, and an engine shop fascinates one, and the challenge of business community needs and politics motivates the other. This unlikely pair, Jim Gilmore of Kalamazoo, Michigan, and A.J. Foyt of Houston, Texas, form one of the closest partnerships in racing. And once a year, they come to Indianapolis to become partners at 200. At Indianapolis, there are other partners at 200. Johnny Rutherford depends on car owner Jim Hall and mechanic Steve Roby. His wife, Betty, and his family give him the confidence that every race driver must have to be a winner. That's the way it is in auto racing. For while the driver sits in the car alone, the advice and expertise of his partners follows him like a shadow, even at 200 miles per hour. And so it begins, as it does every year, early in May at Indianapolis. Teams take the first exploratory practice runs to determine what can be a winning speed combination. And with the cars and drivers come the fans. There's something very special about a race driver. Perhaps it's the image of a tall hero with a flashing smile who flirts with danger at 200 miles per hour and then finds time to sign autographs or pose for a picture with the newest member of the family. The rookie drivers, 24 of them, a bumper crop for 1980. Tony Bettenhausen, his father and brother, both racers. Dana Carter, his father, a veteran contender. Removing the rookie stripes after passing their test, now they're eligible to try and win a place in the 500 field. But mishaps are not confined to new drivers. Gordon Johncock is the 1973 winner, and he has a fractured left ankle. It's the first day of qualifying. Tim Richmond, a popular rookie, hits the wall in practice. He was clocked at 190 miles per hour just before the crash. First out, the 1979 defending champion, Rick Mears of Bakersfield, California. Four quick trips around the Indianapolis Oval, and he's in the race with an average of 187.490. Janet Guthrie, her fourth year. Her speed of 184 plus is not the 185 she and her partners agreed on, so she takes a wave off and will try again. Tom Seaver, 185.290. Mario Andretti, 191 plus. Johnny Parsons, wait a minute. That helmet comes from 30 years back, and so does the driver. Sitting in his winning car, he remembers well the rainy afternoon in May of 1950 when he wrote his name in the record book.
It's hard to realize it's been 30 years since I won the 500. Back in 1950, some of the names were the same as today. Bettenhausen, Vukovic, and Carter. Back then, you fought the heavy steering wheel for 500 miles. You had to visually check your tires every lap, read the signboard, and signal back to your crew. Check your gauges and concentrate on getting on and off the bricks on the main straightaway. As you came off the pavement onto the bricks, the rear end always wanted to pass the front. It was rough. The day I won the race, my mechanic, Harry Stevens, found a crack in the engine block. Nothing to be done but drive and hope she'd last. That engine was still running strong when the rains came. Well, Johnny Parsons is still racing. Johnny Parsons Jr., that is, 187.412. That's 55 miles an hour faster than my 1950 qualifying speed. Yes, sir. That's my boy.
Johnny Rutherford won the 1974 and the 1976 Indianapolis 500. Right now, it's first things first. Get in the race, win the pole. 192.256 ought to do it. Bobby Unser is in with 189.994. Roger Rager, another of the 1980 rookies, makes it with 186 plus. Racing requires a total team effort. And since 1973, the team of A.J. Foyt and Jim Gilmore has been one of the most successful in championship racing. In that time, A.J. has rolled the Gilmore banner into victory lane 23 times, including one of the most memorable in the history of the Indianapolis Speedway. That was in 1977, when A.J. became the first driver to win the May Classic 4 times. In 1979, Foyt was second to Rick Mears, rolling across the finish line with a dead engine. Now at 5:59 p.m., 1 minute before the deadline of the first day of qualifying, A.J. Foyt puts the famous Gilmore Foyt number 14 into the race. It is characteristic of Foyt's racing strategy that he would wait until conditions were to his liking rather than try in mid-afternoon when the wind is a danger and the track is slow. As it is, he'll start 12th in the field of 33. Midweek, Tom Seaver practices in his already qualified car. Seaver is unhurt. His car is destroyed. He'll drive another car on race day, but the rule book says he must start last. The rains come, the rains go. It's May 18th, the last day to qualify. Rick Buther tries, but time runs out for him. A.J. looks to see who's left. Tim Richmond is in with another car. Ryder puts a second Gilmore Foyt racer in the field, so who do they interview? Foyt, of course. Rain and hail, the moments drift away for Janet Guthrie and a long line of hopeful contenders. And then it's over. Janet experiences the bitter frustration of not qualifying for her 4th Indianapolis race.
While becoming a pioneer for women in auto racing, Guthrie's career here in Indianapolis was rather short. She never qualified for the May Classic again, with 1979 being her 3rd and final race here. Since her historic moment, Guthrie remains as the lone female competitor, though one other woman has tried but failed to make the 500.
Before. But from that usually undistinguished 11th starting row will come the 2nd, 3rd, and 8th finishers for the 1980 Indianapolis 500. Rutherford is first, Bobby Unser second, Mario Andretti third, Rick Mears fourth. The field strings out as veteran and rookie driver alike try to employ winning strategies developed with their partners before the race. Even though he's out in front, Johnny Rutherford knows by radio communication with his crew chief what everyone in the race is doing. He knows, for instance, that Mike Mosley is smoking and slowing down, that Larry Cannon is coasting into the pits with a broken camshaft. But beyond that, he knows that anything can happen at any time, and that comes from years of experience. Mass confusion in the 10th lap. Dick Ferguson hit the wall. Bill Whittington hit the wall. Both rookie drivers. Whittington sprays to a stop. The nose of his car is gone, and he has a fractured ankle. But in an instant, he became older, wiser, and a veteran. On the yellow, everyone heads for the pits. It's good team strategy to fill the tank when the field is running slow. Another rookie, but this one is leading the race. Roger Rager is in front for 2 laps. the 16th and 17th. Then comes in for his first service stop. Jim Gilmore watches as George Snyder takes the lead on the 18th lap. Then Gordon Johncock passes, but Pancho Carter is breathing down his neck. Foyt is running a comfortable 7th. Three-time winner Al Unser is out with a bad cylinder. Pancho Carter claims the lead for the 36th to the 39th lap. Then Rutherford passes and is in front again. Johnny Parsons Jr. is slowing down. What a story that would have made, winning the 500 30 years after his dad. Mario Andretti leads. Jim McElreath hits the wall as others take wild evasive action. From another angle, you can see that a number of cars were lucky to avoid McElreath's car, but Roger Rager, heading for the comparative safety of the infield, was unable to get it gathered up again and parked his car against the tunnel wall. Andretti slowing down with engine failure. It's the 72nd lap.
Andretti is in. Andretti is in the back.
Rutherford leads with Bobby Unser second. A.J. Foyt is still in the top 10. Curly Haywood spins at the beginning of the main straightaway and heads for the pits. In the pits, Tom Seaver makes a 13-second stop after leading the race for 11 laps.
Tom Seaver set history that day by coming from the 33rd and last starting spot to finish second. 1980 also marked the third time in 4 years that he wound up second. And amazingly, the man who started next to Seaver in the back row, Gary Bettenhausen, wound up third.
When the green flag comes out, Bobby Unser leads with Tim Richmond second. Dick Simon has lost a wheel and incredibly continues on around the track to his pit. Bobby Unser is out, lap 127. A.J. Foyt is in on the 130th lap. Here is teamwork. The Gilmore-Foyt crew service him and send him on his way in 13 seconds. Jerry Seaver, Tom's brother, hits the wall in turn 1. Danny Ongaias makes a 9-second stop in the 133rd lap. Bobby and Marcia Unser watch as Rutherford passes Tom Seaver in the 148th lap to take the lead for the 6th time in this race. Rick Mears passes Danny Ongaias. Mears is third. In lap 170, Foyt is running 9th. And then he's slowing down, coming into the pits. Veteran mechanic Howard Gilbert and Jim Gilmore watch anxiously as Foyt comes to a stop. He's finished for this race. But when you've been together as a team for 7 years, you understand that a high average performance is ultimately what pays off. So next year, there will likely be another Gilmore-Foyt entry and another try for the big prize. Still, it would have been nice if teammate George Snyder could have finished, but he's out too. Rick Mears tours the track out in front. Rutherford makes his last pit stop. He'll have to go 28 laps non-stop to beat Mears, who comes in on the 179th lap. The laps roll into the record book. Rutherford holds the lead. Behind him is Tom Seaver, Gary Bettenhausen, Gordon Johncock, and Rick Mears. There's the white flag, and now begins the longest lap in the race. It's only 2.5 miles. Why does it take so long? And why does Johnny Rutherford think he can hear the loud beating of his heart above the roar of his engine. There it is, that checkered flag that Johnny Rutherford, Jim Hall, and Steve Roby have sought so diligently.
Car owner Jim Hall came within a whisker of winning his third 500 in his first 3 years here, but a broken transmission in 1979 put his car out while leading. Interestingly, both of Hall's wins came at the hands of two drivers who were winning their third 500s.
It took Johnny a while to come around. It seems that Tim Richmond ran out of fuel, so Rutherford stopped to give him a ride. Richmond, finishing ninth, said, "If you can't win, then ride in with the winner." Jackpot at Las Vegas. It's like seeing your name in lights on Broadway. It's like standing on the top of the highest mountain. For whatever it is that motivates men to achieve is the magic spark that has brought this 42-year-old racing veteran from Fort Worth, Texas, into the Indianapolis winner's circle for the third time. For all those close to him, the victory is shared. For no man, no driver, can hope to give his best unless his partners also dedicate themselves to the maximum effort that it takes to win. Tom Seaver came from 33rd to 2nd. Gary Bettenhausen, the slowest qualifier, is 3rd, but he feels like he's won. Rick Mears, last year's champion, is 5th this time, but he's greeted like a winner by a young lady named Dina, whose last name also happens to be Mears. Gordon Johncock drove to 4th with a cast on his foot, and Danny Ongaias finished 7th behind Pancho Carter. You'll remember that Johnny Rutherford gave Tim Richmond a ride on his car as he came to winner's circle? Well, Tim would probably be happy to do as much for John next year.
So there you have it, two men riding into victory circle together. That hasn't happened since the days of the righty mechanics. But of course, only JR's name went down in the record books as the winner and the only man to win the 500 twice from the pole position.
Bob, Tim Richmond certainly was a winner in his own right. His 9th place finish that year locked up Rookie of the Year honors for him. And speaking of first-year drivers, Don and Bill Whittington became the first pair of brothers to race together at Indianapolis as rookies. But of all those rookies in 1980, none has competed in the Indianapolis 500 more than 5 times, and 5 of the 10 never ran in the 500 again. I'm Larry Newber.
And I'm Bob Jenkins. Earlier, we told you of 2 men who came from the back to finish 2nd and 3rd. Well, 2 of the 3 Sherman Armstrong-owned cars started in the final row, but all 3 finished in the top 10. And that wraps up the 1980 Indianapolis 500. We hope you'll be with us for another Legends of the Brickyard.